Hey YouTubers, this is Marilyn. Welcome back to KK's Quilt Studio. We have a message in the mailbag today from a user of Art&Stitch and ProStitcher designer. She's looking to create a triangle of crosshatch, and yes, there is a design in ProStitcher Premium under the designs file in the block folder that is a crosshatch block, but of course it's square and she wants a triangle. So just know that there are 3 sides to every triangle. You can do it in 3 different ways. You can do it in ProStitcher, Art&Stitch, or in ProStitcher Designer, and we're going to talk about that today. Just be aware, if you ever have any questions, feel free to contact me at kksews@kksquiltstudio.com. I have 2 Facebook groups, one for ProStitcher Designer called the ProStitcher Designer Diner, and Art&Stitch users can join the Digital Quilting Fuze. I also have a message board called the Digital Quilting Bee, and feel free to contact me anytime through my website at kkesquiltstudio.com. So let's start in ProStitcher Premium and take a look at how we can create this triangular crosshatch. Okay, we are in ProStitcher Premium and I am in the latest version of ProStitcher Premium. I'm going to open up. I'm going to grab, of course, a triangle first. We'll open that to our workspace. I'm going to go back to that folder, and we're under the PS Designs, and I'm under the block folder. We're going to scroll down and look for that crosshatch block. There it is right there, the square. We're going to open that. Okay, I'm going to select first that triangle. I'm going to go to the area and slap a rubber band around it. So now I no longer need that triangle. I can remove that because it's selected. So I just have that triangle shape and it is outlined in dotted kind of pink. So I know that's an area. When I select it, it turns blue. I'm going to move it over my crosshatch area and select it in kind of a pleasing manner. And I think I'm going to do some resizing. Note that when you have an area selected and it's blue, that you can use any of the modified tools to reposition, or you can resize it. Let's center that more. Just keep nudging it. You can also resize. If you don't have your lock on, it will change the aspect ratio, so you'll get width and height. If I just want to make that block a little bit wider on the bottom, I can do that. Okay, now let's go back to select that crosshatch design, and now we can crop, and I'll crop the outside away. I want to get my edges, and let's refresh to bring that up. And remember that until I baseline, I can still move that design, that crosshatch underneath. So if I find I want to reposition it, I can also use my nudge tools here. Okay, I like that. Now let's go to ProStitcher tab and let's just take a look at that sew out. I had my tie-offs turned on, and we'll watch that sew out. Just doing a little bit of overstitching on this edge over here. But I just wanted to show you that there is a way, and yeah, it keeps going to that right side to stitch quite a bit. So there's quite a bit of overstitching on that right side. And we perhaps could, again, change the positioning again, see if that makes any changes. Because we didn't baseline the design when we started. So baseline, of course, is only a temporary save, and we can always go back and change if we need to. This design is still movable. So just remember, we can still nudge it around as long as we haven't baselined. Once we baseline, everything's locked in. Okay, let's go over to Art&Stitch. I didn't like the way it repeatedly sewed over on that side. You can play around with it and see if you can get it not to sew repetitively. Let's go to Art&Stitch. Okay, in Art&Stitch, I'm going to open up. I'm in the blocks folder. Again, I'm going to look for that crosshatch square. I want to make sure I convert to outlines, have that box checked. Click open. This time we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to use my art tools over here. I'm going to select that triangle, and I'm going to draw a triangle. And I'm going to position that. Might want to make it a little bit bigger so I can include the edges. And widen it up a little bit. Okay. I'm going to bring this down because I don't want those little tiddly bits on the top. Okay, that looks pretty good. And now I'm going to select this. You see that it has stitches applied. I am going to turn that back into artwork and select all my items. And you'll notice that now my creative fill button lit up on the side, and just with one click there I've got a crosshatch design. Okay, I can select that inside crosshatch. You'll note that these are still two different pieces of artwork. If you want the outline on the outside, you could merge these two pieces of artwork together. If I were to select stitches, and let's change the color of this one so that I can just select that one, and we'll go to our preview, our stitch preview down here at the bottom, and watch it stitch out. Again, a little bit of overstitching, and that could be fixed with repositioning that square. Now that I've set it, I can't reposition it. Not like in ProStitcher Premium. Okay, so there's one way of creating your crosshatch. Let's go to a new page. I'm going to show you another way. If you go under the libraries and under the creative fills, there are crosshatch pieces in here. There's a sort of curved crosshatch, and then there's more of a square crosshatch. And again, I'm going to take that triangular tool. So I wouldn't need that block from the Designs folder, if I just want to use this, just want to use 2 pieces of artwork from the Designs library. Again, I'll select both items. Make sure that your creative fill comes first in the sequence and your artwork, it comes second. So now, again, I've got that creative fill. Turn that on, and there is my crosshatch design. If you don't want that much crosshatch, let's undo that. You can always increase the size of your artwork, and that'll make your crosshatch larger. And then again, just select. So how dense do you want that crosshatch to be is affected by the size. And now I've got lots. And let's assign stitches to that design, and then let's stitch out. This does give a little bit better result when you use the library crosshatch creative fill. You see that it's stitching much more in a traditional manner of crosshatch, not running up and down the sides. So this might be a better solution yet. So there's a couple ways to create a crosshatch fill in Art&Stitch. Okay, so you've got a couple solutions. Let's pause this and move over into ProStitcher Designer. Before we go into ProStitcher Designer, I'm going to give you one more option. Let's go back and load that crosshatch block. Make sure Convert to Outlines is checked. And we're going to go back to that triangle. And I'm just going to use this for reference. Let me get about the size I want. You can use the Control key on your keyboard also to make a equilateral triangle when you're drawing this out. Okay, for reference, let me get this a little more centered. Okay. Now, I'm going to go back and select this design, grab it here, turn it back into artwork, and hit the D for distort on your keyboard. You'll see that now the outline or selection box is changed. We have these little squares at the top corner, and we can click, hold, and drag in on those, and depending on how you drag and drop this is going to control the way that this plays. And I'll hit the Enter key on the keyboard, and that gives a neat effect. I'm going to drag up just a little bit more on this, make it fit up into the corner of that triangle. And again, hit the Enter key. Anytime you make changes, you'll need to hit the Enter key. Now, some of the lines look a little bit wonky, so let's go to our Reshape tool, click on that, and we can, let's zoom in on this. We can reshape these lines. I can add points. I can change points, so that one looks like a cusp. I can make that more of a smooth outline, and then drag my points, just click on that point and drag it in. You can reshape using your handlebars here. Reshape that design. I'll spacebar to zoom back out. Fiddle around with it, see what it's like, but there is one more option to creating a crosshatch. This gives you more of a not an angular, but a rounded crosshatch effect. Play around with it, see what you like, but it's another option. Okay, and let's go over into ProStitcher Designer. Okay, in ProStitcher Designer, we're going to open that file folder, going to look for that crosshatch square. Make sure that your Convert to Outlines box is checked. We'll open that, and we'll also open, I can also show you down here how we can bring in from the sidebar. We'll select blocks, and I'll go up, open the window, go down to the C's. They're all in alphabetical order. There's the crosshatch square. Oh, we needed that. Sorry, we needed that triangle. We don't need the crosshatch again. I'll just drag it onto my workspace, and you can move it around if you like to get your best positioning. Need to center that a little bit more. You can also use the arrow keys on your keyboard. Okay, and then let's go back to our sequence view, and we need to select all the items, and you'll see that this has stitches. We need to convert both pieces back to artwork. When we go to the Modify tab, our crop tool lines up, and there is our crosshatch fill inside a triangle. Let's apply stitches and go to Stitch Out, and we'll play our stitch out. We get a little bit of a jump stitch here. I'll show you how you can connect those designs up. If we were to back this up, you'll see that it stops up here in the corner and then jumps down. We can slow that speed way down. Drag this preview bar along. So I'll see where that, right here in the corner, where it jumps. Okay. So I'm going to stop everything. I'm going to change the color of this. Let's add another color to our color bar. Okay. So I'm going to shut this one off. I'm going to hit the eyeball so I don't see it. And then we're going to split this line. So I'm going to right click on the triangle. I'll need to use my shape tool first. Go to approximately where that stopped and split the line. And then I'm going to drag this away, turn back on that triangle. So we're going to make this one sew out piece. So I'm going to go back to the stitch out and see where that was that ends. Right there. Okay. So I want to move this point right back to here where that crosshatch stops, and you can either Control T on your keyboard. I'm going to go back to select both items and right click. You can Control T or Utility, right click, Utility Connect. So now that's one piece. I'll bring that last point back into line, so it's going to end right there on top of that connecting point. If you want to turn on your start and end points, you'll see that now I move those back to on top of each other. Okay, let's go back to preview, to stitch out, and now I've got one complete design. So I don't have two separate pieces of artwork, and there is how to connect that outline if you want an outline. If you don't want it, you could just delete that extra triangle, but I thought I'd give you the bonus of showing you how to connect it up, and I could bring that in a little bit more because that's missing my lines here, but you get the idea. So have fun with it. I hope you've enjoyed learning how to create a triangular crosshatch in 3 different programs. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.